10 ways you can tell you're buying a good watch in 2024? Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. MWC, what do you think of this? Is it any good? Well, in today's show, I'm going to give you 10 ways in which you can find out. And you've got to wait till the last one, the 10th one, because that will be the most important one. Hopefully when the video is over, you've learned a few bits and you can go ahead and make the watch purchase you want to make. Are you decent watch ready? Let's go. Right, let's get the obvious one out the way first, shall we? And it is brand. I've got a tennis ball here made from a company that has been going for about 100 years. On my other hand, I've got a tennis ball from a manufacturer that have only been going for 7 months. Now, the one on this side is going to be very appealing to us, isn't it? They're a company that have been going for a long time, therefore they have built a reputation of being good. Also, if there's anything wrong with this tennis ball, I can send it back and I can pretty guarantee to have it either replaced or fixed without any trouble. Well, we don't know much about its reputation or how good this product is in a year's time. That doesn't mean it's not good, but more of us will go behind a more established company's product, which is why I'm a huge fan of Seiko. Been going since the 1800s. I think they know how to make a watch. Okay, sometimes their quality control isn't great, and what you get for your money today may be questionable, but there is no denying that they make damn fine watches, and you can categorically guarantee if there's anything wrong with the watch, you'll probably be able to get it replaced. So having a watch from a well-established brand probably on the whole means you've got a good one. Okay, number 2, and it is materials. What is this watch made out of? Now, the standard these days is stainless steel, 316L stainless steel. And if you've got a watch that has a case back, crown and bracelet that is stainless steel, you've got a good base there. Some watches may have a stainless steel case back, but a brass case. Unfortunately, that is what we call cost cutting. Casio cheapen out sometimes even on their watches. Make sure the price does reflect that. For example, this Casio is only about £35. If it was £200, there's no way it's worth it. Now, to be fair, if you've got a material that has been able to be shaped, there's been a watch case made of it. I mean, some companies make their cases out of wood. But there are materials like bronze that have a great antique stain to them after a while. And in today's modern world, we can't think that the price is in the weight of something. Because with the likes of titanium and carbon fiber being used in our watches, these things are very light. But me, personally, I'm a fan of good old stainless steel. 316L marine grade steel. Yeah. Next up, glass. Yes, what is the dial face being protected by? This, most of the time, can give you a good indication whether you've got a good watch. First, we have resin crystals, so ones that are made of plastic, like you have in your budget Casios. Then you step up to mineral glass. Even though this is bona fide glass, it is susceptible to scratches. What you love to see on your watch is sapphire glass. Sapphire glass doesn't scratch. It can crack and shatter, but you cannot put any blemishes on it. Most luxury watches, apart from, maybe your Omega Speedmasters, have sapphire glass. Seiko are known for using hard Lex crystal, which is a form of mineral. It's their own in-house mineral glass. They tend to use this in their dive watches because their argument is, if I take this Seiko underwater and I knock it against some coral, the hard Lex won't shatter. It'll just crack. I mean, your watch is buggered either way, isn't it? I'm not sure what the argument is for now. Bracelets, I think, are very important because sometimes it can make or break the look or the feel of the watch. Yeah, the head of the watch could be fantastic, but if not a lot of money has gone into the bracelet, the whole watch just feels cheap. Seiko are well known for this. They put a lot of their money, time and effort into the head of the watch, and it's almost as if their bracelets are off the shelf and just squeezed into the case. What you don't want to see is hollow links, hollow end links, as that will give the bracelet a horrible cheapy rattle. Also, when it comes to clasps, we'd like to see a nice refined milled one and not a basic pressed one. If you've got solid end links, solid links, a good solid milled clasp, it just elevates the watch, but it goes for all nylon straps, leather straps, rubber straps. I'm looking for a quality in that strap that reflects the watch. And if it doesn't, that is a red flag. Unless you're used to it with Seiko.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Next up is attention to detail. You know, only when you really deeply look down at a watch do you realise,
whoa, this is awesome.
So this one's just for us geeks. But it's more about the finishing of the watch. Yes, we've got a stainless steel case, but how is the brush work? Can you see the brushing? Is it a bit coarse or is it blended beautifully? Does it contour with the curvature of the lugs? Polishing is a real big telltale sign too. If you've got an all polished case, how beautifully polished is it? In Swiss watchmaking, they call it black polishing. In Japan, they call it zuratsu. Skilled artisans, not everyone can do it, and it's literally looking at these sides as if they are mirrors. Attention to detail can be all sorts of things, like a signed crown, framed and applied markers. It's those they didn't have to do that touches that makes your watch a good un. Okay, the next way you can tell whether you're dealing with a good watch or not is something I like to do called the blind test. Yeah? Take the watch in your hands and shut your eyes. What are you trying to pick up when you're doing this? Well, you'd like the soft brush parts to be very soft. You'd like the polished parts to be very slick. Also, where there are crisp edges, you don't want them to be very sharp. You then begin to realize just how many textures, even on a simple watch that you think is simple, does have a lot of different textures to it. Have a go at the blind test. Super. Next up, it's about the movement. Now let's get it out the way straight away. A mechanical movement has far more parts than a quartz movement. Therefore, usually, a mechanical movement is going to cost more than a quartz movement. Obviously, there are watches and brands that go against that, like the Seagull 1963 with its ST19 column wheel chronograph, made in China, but was originally made in Switzerland. A very affordable movement that if it was Swiss made still, would be well over £1,000. The NH35 and the Myoto 8000, I'd say no more than £300 your watch is worth. And they only purr away at 21,600 beats per hour. So if you look at the likes of the Myoto 9039 or the Swiss Sellita SW200 that has a 4 Hz sweep, that's more keeping with a decent higher level watch. I personally like a 4 Hz movement. I love a smoother sweep, and usually to get that sweep, you're going to be spending above £300. Some companies have what they call in-house movements, which is a mechanical movement that is only exclusive for their brand. And to have that clout, to have your own movement, the watch and watch brand is definitely of a decent level. Also, when it comes to the movement, what's the finishing like on the movement? Has the company regulated the movement before they sell it? Some companies go the extra mile of adding their own signature rotors, maybe a little Côte de Genève striping,
and a lovely bit of guillocheting.
It's again something that the company didn't need to do. And so in my head, there's a sort of pride that they have that maybe other brands don't. Also, we're going to talk about the complications. A date function, a day function, a minute repeater, tourbillon, chronograph. Having a watch with a lot of complications tended to be big bucks. Nowadays, with thanks to Chinese manufacturing, you can get yourself a watch with a tourbillon for under £500. That doesn't mean to say it's probably been finished very well or that it's very accurate. We'll leave that to the luxury brands. Next up is operation. And no, I know what you're thinking. It's not that. It's an awesome game that is. Did you have one? Does the operating of this watch reflect the price? Now, just for example, and because I've got my Black Bay 58 Blue here, how's the unscrewing of that crown? Does it have a definite pop? What's the winding of it like? Is it buttery smooth or is it very light? When I move the handset, is there resistance there or is it really light and fluffy? But what if your watch has a dive time bezel? What's the ratcheting like? can't be as good as this. If I've spent £2 on a dive watch, the bezel action better be good. The next one is quite important to me. Is this watch going to do the job I want it to do? Let's take a dive watch, for example. A dive watch, to me, should be watertight. What do you reckon? Therefore, first of all, you need a threaded crown. Second of all, we need a screw-down case back and not just a press-on one. Check out the water resistance of the watch, because if it says 50 meters or less, it's not going to be watertight. Now, I know what you're going to say. When are you going to go down 50 meters, let alone 200? It's not just about depth. Let's say I've gone on holiday and I'm just about to dive into the pool. As my hand hits the water and goes through the water, the atmospheric pressure on that hand and wrist and watch is magnified. The thrashing, the wading,
The backstroking.
all puts tremendous pressure on your watch. But moving away from the dive watch, let's say a dress watch. Well, when you think of a dress watch, you like it to be sleek, elegant. It could do with being thin and slip under a cuff. But going back to the dive watch, let's check out the loom. Because if that isn't good, I don't want to know about it either. Sorry, I'm just quite obsessed with dive watches. So, we are finally happy with the brand, what it's made with, what the dial's protected by, the bracelet's not putting us off, we can see decent attention to detail, we've done the blind test, we understand about the movement inside the watch, we're also happy with the operation of it, and it is fit for the purpose we want it to be fit for. This last thing is the cherry on the top. It is the feel-good factor. Not for you, not for you, not for you, for me. How do I feel when I have the watch on my wrist? It's you that are going to be wearing it. No one else is really bothered.
Unless you're desperately after for Instagram likes.
If the watch makes you happy, then of course it's a good one. But just remember, the price on what you pay for a watch is usually defined by all those things I've just mentioned. Unless you're talking about vintage watches, and let's face it, that's a whole different kettle of fish. So there you go, 10 ways to find out you've got a good watch. In the comments below, I'd love for you to tell me, are there any other ways? Have you got a system? Tell me and we're at it on the end of this. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and if you want to support the Mad Watch Collector, why don't you come and join? Yeah. Want some merch? Who doesn't? Click there in the description below. But more importantly, if I've got you for a few more minutes, why don't you click this one? I'm speechless. I'm literally speechless. It was that good a show. Go on, click it. Click it!